suppose the Prince Philip, if you like, of this particular area. Now, we'll suppose the Prince Philip, if you like, of this particular area. Now, on the other drive is Brent Smith. He's being filmed by David. Unfortunately, they are changing a tyre right now, so you're stuck with me for the next little while. Please ask us your questions. #Safari. I don't know how much that you missed. Sorry about the gremlins. There is a very, very sort of a heavy cold front coming through, like I said. So, #Safari Live. You want to send us your questions or comments or anything else you'd like to say about what's going on here. Or questions at wildearth.tv. Either will work just as well. For the longer stuff, the email, the Twitter is probably the most speedy way of getting hold of us. I know that there will be a few new viewers from the TV specials that we did over the Father's Day weekend. You're most welcome. It's a joy to have you with us, and please do send us your questions and comments. Especially, even if we're not seeing anything spectacular at the moment, send us your questions about Africa, travel to Africa, South Africa. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about this great continent and our country, and we can clear those up for you while we go along. Are you ready to explore, Liam?
Yeah, boy.
Wonderful.
Let's go.
On we go. Liam's tired of hearing me blithering away into the lens. Is the solstice today or tomorrow? I think it's today. So this is our shortest day, our longest night, quite the opposite in the northern hemisphere, of course. And I think there's a bit of a front coming through. Here is the leopard track of Mrs. Karula and a cub, I think. If I find a decent track, I will show you what I mean. Just with this light, it's going to be difficult to see exactly what's going on. So there's not a lot of contrast in the light. So let's just drive gently along here, look in all the trees, look under all the bushes. They might be on the road in front of us, who knows. I'm just going to quickly give an update on the game drive radio. Lex, I've come down towards Treehouse Dam. Tracks of male leopard go down Philemon's Dip, and tracks of female leopard now on Savage's Track to the east of Treehouse Dam. We're following up. Okay, so now for those of you who affirmative. For those of you who don't know, we're on game drive communications with a lot of the other drives in the area, which means that we can help each other, we can look for what's going on, and many of our sightings result from shared efforts. So that's what's going on here. Now this cold front, I think, is going to bite us for a few days. But what it's going to do, I don't know if you can see as we drive along here, but the leaves, if we look down through there, if you can just put your camera through there, you can see there they've turned yellow, and that's happened in the last week, you know. They've turned that yellow, and this wind that's blowing through here is going to blow them off the trees, and the landscape in the next week or so is going to change profoundly. I think those tracks headed off to the south, unless they're back now. Can't see them here. We'll just drive along gently. VM, can you see them that side? VM, not only a cameraman, an exceptional tracker. Mongoose. I don't think we're going to track the mongoose if it's all the same to you. Sheepers. So it's 14 degrees Celsius here, which is about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And Christopher, you say in Arizona it was 120 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday. That, if I'm not mistaken, is round about 45 degrees Celsius. And you want to know what the hottest temperature is here. Christopher, on very rare occasions it will hit 45 degrees Celsius. And I think that was the hottest temperature we had last year. That's about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It is consistently very hot though. Oh no, it's 51 degrees. It doesn't get that hot here normally. 51 degrees Celsius you had in Arizona. No, mercifully it doesn't get quite that hot here yet. That is, that is beastly, Christopher. Sorry about that. That is really unpleasant. Very unpleasant indeed. Good grief. No, I don't think I've ever experienced 50 degrees. Right, let's see if our tracks pop out here. If they don't, we'll just do another loop around the block. Now, when we refer to a block, it's just the same as if it's in a city. It's the area between roads. So when I say in this block, I mean in this sort of region where there might not be any roads. So I think the track's headed off coming this way. It is difficult to tell straight from the vehicle, but I'm pretty sure they looked like they were coming this way. Whether she's with the cubs or not, I don't know. We'll just have a quick, keep looking to the side of the car. And I was asked a wonderful question once as to why it is I always look to the right-hand side. Do animals not also walk on the left? Now, while that might initially seem like a valid question, of course, if your driver's seat is on the left-hand side, right-hand side, it's rather difficult to kind of climb over and look this way. So we normally get VM to do that sort of thing, and I look on the right. Especially if you're Brent Smith, of course, because his vast form rather fills the cockpit more than mine does. Now we're pretty much opposite where I thought those tracks came across. So let's go across to Brent while I assess the situation here, and I'll catch up with you just now.
And the other checking male leopard tracks in towards Treehouse. Oh, sorry, I was going to get through the radio really quickly. Good morning, welcome to Safari Live. My name is Brent. I got Dave on camera with me today. And we had a little bit of a rough start to the morning. And we had to change a flat tire. One of our plugs popped. And as we were probably just too far to make it back to camp, so we've changed the tire. We're now out and we're heading towards the northern edge of Bajuma, and we're going to head east from there, and I'm hoping some of those lions.
Right, Brent having a bit of an easy morning today. No signal with him and Wendy, so bear with me. We'll keep our eyes out. I haven't found the tracks coming out again. We're pulling up again on Treehouse Dam, so we're going to go around the block, see what we can find there. Karula may have just been doing a little bit of a patrol. She may have left the cubs behind. I thought I maybe saw one cub track there, but I'm not sure. Might be very lucky. So this is where we were earlier, just before you came to us, here at Treehouse Dam. I always hope to find her lying somewhere close by next to one of the puddles there. Seldom works out like that. I also did see a tawny eagle in here. Now, a tawny eagle, one of the big birds of prey that we have here, and they also scavenge quite a lot. So let's just keep our eyes into this block. Hang on a second. I will be so deeply impressed with myself if this termite mound that looks like a leopard is in fact a leopard, rather than just a termite mound. Marjorie, you say Karula seems to be getting a little older and possibly beyond the breeding age. She is slightly beyond the breed, or not slightly beyond. She doesn't have many years left of breeding. At 12 years old, she's probably pretty much, if these cubs survive to adulthood, By the time she mates again, she'll be 14. She might have another litter, but that would probably be the last one. VM, did you see what I was looking at?
Yes, that little clump of sand on the termite mound.
Yes, the clump of sand on the termite mound that I thought was Mvula's head, staring wistfully off to the east, thinking of the days when he was a younger man. Unfortunately, not. No. Okay, on we go. I got that stab through my belly, thinking, yes. And then, utter dejection. Utter bereavement. Now, as it gets to winter, what starts to happen is that I showed you how the vegetation becomes yellow and gold, and so animals find it that much easier to hide in this sort of vegetation. Well, their camouflage is much better for this time of the year. And in summertime, of course, when everything's green, the colors of many of the animals to our eyes stand out. But it's obviously much easier for them to hide behind bushes. So it's a really different kind of, it's a different kind of technique to looking for things at this time of the year. Now, this is where I thought maybe I saw the tracks going off the road. I'll just assess them a little bit more carefully now. It's a little game path that goes off just round the corner. Hello, Safari Dean. You are obviously watching the show. Here she is on the TV, and you say, am I happy to be out of my tent? Safari Dean, I'm quite happy, but you know what? I loved being in that tent. I thought it was so great that we had different things to do, different things to show, and so it was a real joy to be in there. But it is nice to get out again, go and look for the animals. She's on the road here, just next to the road, still there. And this is where I thought she headed off, down there. No. She's back there. We're going to drive very slowly along here and just keep an eye out to the right-hand side. There's a drainage system. Leopards do like to lurk about in drainage systems. Right, while we're having a look here, head back to Brent and I'll catch up with you shortly. With the sun there. Here's the cab track.
Welcome back, sorry about that. Now, we're on the northern edge of our traverse area, and just over this hill, I saw my first African wildcat live on safari last night. Very exciting. Brian and I had a splendid evening just taking in the beautiful surrounds we were in, and we got spoilt with a little bonus wildcat right towards the end of the safari. So, might be the same one that Jamie saw. It's not far from where she saw it. So who knows, maybe we'll see it again this morning. A big Safari Live welcome to Howard the Dak, who is a brand new viewer. Lovely to have you, Howard. Howard, I'm just going to quickly try to show you guys the sunrise before I get to your question. Oh, how's that, Dave? There we go. Now, there is quite a lot of cloud around, but there is a burning bright orb between the clouds at the moment. Look at that. I'm hoping that burning orb burns off the cloud because, I don't like being cold. But Howard was wondering, where are we? Are we in Australia? We are not, Howard. We are on the southern tip of Africa. We're in the country South Africa. More specifically, we're in the province of Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga in Zulu means basically where the sun comes out. So we're in the eastern part of South Africa, or northeastern actually. And we're on the western edge of an 8.5 million acre 8.5 million acre wilderness area called the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We are in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, more specifically on Juma Private Game Reserve, and it is a beautiful part of the world. Filled with Africa's big hairies and scaries, as well as the other species, lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, and all the other, I think, animals that are here. Now, of course, a lot of our time is spent looking for leopards and lions and cheetahs and things. And Howard, if you stay tuned, we might be seeing
we found at least one leopard in this tree, exactly where the tracks came off the road. Now, if it's the cubs, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to stay with them. In other words, if it's the cubs with no mum. She's in this tree here, the little one. So let's just ease our way in. I don't want to, we don't know what's on the ground. Mum might be on the ground. The radio is going to go crazy, so just bear with me. Go ahead. There. Savages track east of Treehouse Dam. There's a big albizia tree, or false thorn tree in the drainage. We've only got visual of one youngster at the moment. Can you see her there, VMP? There we go. I don't know at the moment, I'm just checking now. Tax, what's the rule on it? To confirm we leave if the mother's not here? That's the male, that's George, everybody. Okay, copy. Right, everybody, there's George. I don't know where his sister is. Let's have a look around. Oh, this is just wonderful. I don't think that the sister can be far away. I think she's probably lurking in the bushes here somewhere. I don't know where Mum is. She may or may not be around here. We just keep looking with my binos. What we'll do, we're just going to assess the situation here. And Taxon, who is the senior guide of the area, has made a very good suggestion. He said, look, if they are not running around and nervous, then probably just stick around. So I think that's what we'll do, because George has just fallen asleep. Well, just about. I can't see any kill. And all I spotted, everyone, was that tail hanging down. You can just see the tail. That's what I spotted from the road, twitching there. And so I'm going to sit here for the next 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll ease forward and just see if we can't catch sight of Mum or Charlotte. This is fantastic, isn't it great? Little 4-month-old leopard, that's the male. The reason I know that is from his blue eyes. You can see there he doesn't have those deep red-brown eyes that his sister has. Let me just scan around with my binoculars. So I'm not going to look at George. You enjoy the sight of him. I'm just going to scan around here, see if I can see his sister anywhere. I can't see anything further at this stage. Wimpy? Nothing, hey? Let's ease gently forward. He is the slightly more nervous of the two cubs. And I might actually make the decision to go around the other way, the other side, and just see if we can't look from that end. Because this is, I mean, where we're sitting now, there are not many places that other leopards could be. And there's a termite mound just to the other side that I think maybe the others could be on. Hello, Roger in Tampa. Lovely to hear from you, and thank you for your question. You say, at what age are these cubs able to climb trees? Roger, they can climb trees from probably about 8 weeks. Have you got a view there, then?
Nope.
No, nothing at all.
No.
Okay, how's that?
Worse.
Worse. Okay, I think we're going to go around the other side. I just want one more sort of look from here. You can just see the leopard there. I know it's not a great view. As you can see, there's beautiful little eyes looking out. I just want to look around here quickly to see if I can see the other one. And then I think we're going to carry on towards the other side. So, Roger in Tampa, let me just answer your question quickly. They can climb trees from about 8 weeks, which is why we don't really view them long before they're 8 weeks old, unless the situation is really exceptional. Okay, I can hear bird alarm calling from the other side. While we go around there, let's head across to Brent, get an update from him. We'll keep you posted on what happens here.
As I said, you never know what's around the next corner. Isn't that incredible? James has found one of our dominant female leopard's cubs. Exciting! But while James is there, I've spotted some lion tracks, and they're coming straight down the road. We gotta hope that they stay on Juma. They might cross to the north. So I'm just gonna have a quick look back down the road and see where those tracks go. I'm really hoping they don't turn off here. We want them to turn that way. Now, there are human boundaries, but of course the animals don't know what those are, and they can go wherever they want. Oh dear. That's not good for us, I'm afraid. And we can see the tracks going off here. There's a nice track there. Very fresh track. So I think we've just missed these lions. But when I say fresh tracks, a couple of hours old. If we have a look, because there's a very relaxed zebra through there. Hello, zebra. It's probably a male zebra. Young stallion, all on his own. Hasn't become big enough and strong enough to challenge for his own group of females yet. Watch out, there are lions around, mister. Now, there's definitely a male track here and a female track, but there's by no means there are no lions left on Juma. There could easily be some more across the way. So we're going to keep checking. And I'm just going to call those tracks in. I know Abel is looking for them. Abel. Abel Nkonzo of at least 3 Ngala head into Buffelshoek at the construction sign. I'm not sure the name of the road. Copy. Okay. Hi, Donna. Donna wants to know if we've seen the Birmingham boys recently, and how did they get that strange name? And I'm trying to remember when the last time I saw the Birmingham boys was. Probably a week or so ago. Now, those who are wondering, what is a Birmingham? What is a Birmingham boy? It is our dominant coalition of male lions. There were originally 5 of them. Oh, now there, just to confuse me, the lion track's coming back. But it looks like a single lioness, no, a single male, and a lioness. So, wonder what's happening. let's have a closer look here. Where are the other tracks that were coming down? They look nice and fresh, so it looks like the lions might have done us a favor and turned around and come back. Oh, those are very nice tracks. Yay. Sorry, so I was talking about the Birmingham boys. So there were 5 originally. 1, we think, died because of an injury from a buffalo. And the other 4 are still very fit and healthy. Now, why are they called the Birmingham boys? So, and there's another set of lion tracks crossing in. Okay, we're on this. We're on this. Donna, I will finish about the Birmingham boys in a second. There's now Nkonzo coming back southeast into that block between Hippo Pools and Cheetah Cut Line. I'm going to check Cheetah Cut Line, make sure they didn't go east. Now, those are really nice fresh tracks. So, now, this area, when it was originally cut up during colonial times and farms were formed, and I don't think the cartographers had too much imagination at the moment. And what they did is a lot of the farms in this area were named after places that were well known. So there's a farm in the Timbavati that's called Birmingham. And those 5 male lions were originally born on Birmingham and then migrated about 40, 50 kilometers from where they were born to where they set up territory in this area. So that's why they're called the Birmingham boys. We are on Juma, which his original name is Gowrie. So now we're going to search for lions, but James has got 2 cats in the bag, and that's better than 1 in the bush. So let's go have a look.
So little Charlotte is here. She's on a termite mound, basking in the sun. We'll show her to you now. I haven't seen Mum, and I'm now stuck on a stump. There we go. She's totally relaxed. He's totally relaxed. So, I mean, I kind of think Mum might be around here. But we'll just have a quick peek through here. And hopefully we'll be able to assess. But I don't see Karula anywhere. This is going to be a problem, isn't it, Liam? There's a very large piece of stick here. So she's just over there, not too far from where we are, just on that termite mound. I'll try and ease my way in. He's straight ahead of us there, in that tree. There he is. Catching the rays. Yeah, I don't see Mrs. anywhere. She may well be off hunting. But that said, I haven't seen her tracks going anywhere else, so I don't know. Maybe she sent them both to the naughty corner. This is, every bush is positioned precisely in the wrong place. If I can get through here, though, we'll get them both. But it's going to be a painfully slow process because obviously we don't want to make a big noise. No thorns on this one. Looks like there might be thorns, but there aren't. That's why it's called a false thorn. Tell me when you've got a view there, Liam. She moved. I think she's gone down the back. Yeah, everyone, I don't know that we're going to spend much time here. I don't think the mum is here. And that means that we're not, you know, if they are moving, if they're looking even vaguely nervous, we're going to leave them. So I think little Charlotte has moved down off the termite mound there. We'll just have a look the other side of the termite mound quickly. What's that in front? Oh, Franklin's. We have to keep our distance, so we really can't go close until we know that Mum's here. And every strychnos bush in the Lowveld seems to have a cousin over here. That's the bushes you can see us sort of mangling. And Dina, nice one from you. You want to know if the cubs would catch small prey on their own yet. I don't think something the size of a hare you wanted to know about. No, I think maybe the size of a lizard. I mean, they'd catch a lizard or something like that. Maybe a gerbil if they were very lucky, or a bird. I think they'll probably catch a bird now, but I don't think they're coordinated enough or skillful enough yet to be able to take, or fast enough to be able to take a hare. A hare is quick and very wily. Right, so now we can make a bit of noise because we're a decent distance away, so we're not going to give anyone a fright. And we'll just go back around on the road. It always is just a little difficult here to tell what's going on. I'm just going to give Lex an indication quickly. He's just over there. Lex, come in. Lex is just coming this way. I don't want to put two vehicles into this sighting on this side of the drainage. He can very safely go and view the other one from the other side. Good morning. Lex, we've had view of the cub, with both of them. We've got the female here. I don't know if the male's here, and she's not in a tree, so I wouldn't go in here. But you can see him from the other road there, parallel here. There's a. Did you have a look? Okay, go along there, and you'll see him. Yeah, and you'll see him sitting in the top of an albizia tree, directly opposite where we are now. Yeah. Okay. That's Savage's track, yeah. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if the mother's here. Cool. Well, that's Lex, everybody. He's driving out of Vuyatela, and he is an expert guide, been guiding for more than 30 years. Now, Deborah, you want to know at what age I'd be comfortable to stay with the tracks, with the cubs without their mother. It's not so much an age as a comfort thing, Deborah. So, I mean, I'd be happy to stay with them now if they were both sitting in the tree like that. But with Charlotte down on the ground like this, she definitely moved because we probably made a bit too much noise. So I wouldn't hang around with her on her own. We might go around and sit with the male, but it's only once they become relaxed. That could be anything from now to sort of 6 months. But normally it's actually, 6 months before you'll view these cats on their own without their mother. That was the termite mound that she was sitting on, just behind us. I don't see her there anymore. And so we could go driving in close by. I'm not going to. I'm going to give her a bit of a wide berth and just go round. I've just got a feeling that mother isn't here. And because of that, we're going to be very reticent to spend too much time around here. Don't want to give her a fright, because to regain her trust will be no easy feat. So just bear with us, everybody. And the elephants, of course, have made a tremendous mess all over the place. So it's not easy to find your way amongst all the pushed over trees without making too much of a noise. Let's ease around here. We may or may not get view of Mum. Let's just look closely at the top of that termite mound there. Nice clear way through here. George is still in the tree there. I'm just going to show you a silhouette. You can just see a silhouette there. There it is on the right-hand side. Yeah, there he is. Hello, Georgie boy. And I can see Charlotte. So let me move forward and then we'll have both in view. VMP, if you just put your camera straight into the middle of the bush there underneath, you'll see her. Ba-boom. There she is, everyone. You see her? And look at the difference in her eyes. Just going to guide Lex in there. Yeah, Lex, that Albizia opposite where you are now. And there's the other little one. So I don't think Mum's here, I'm afraid. You'd imagine we'd be able to see Mother given her size compared with them. You can see how much browner her eyes are. We are sitting, everybody, at least 300, well, we're probably about 70 meters from her, so I mean we're almost 300 feet from her. We're at the end of the super zoom lens, so I'm not worried about being where we are now. Jono, a very nice observation from you. You say it looks like their spots sort of meld into their eyes and possibly obscure the way that they obscure their eyes, and perhaps that affects whether they or not their prey can see where they're looking. And that is exactly, I think, the case. I'm just going to quickly scan the bushes around here and make sure that Karula isn't lying around. But if she isn't, we're going to head off after a few more minutes, just because we don't want to be insensitive to the situation. That is quite cool though, isn't it? I know it's not the best view we've ever had, but it is pretty cool to be watching a leopard at 300 feet without her kind of being affected by you. I think that's great. So Mum is probably off hunting, and when we saw her tracks initially today, they were kind of, Viam spotted them on the road first, and then I spotted them on my side, and they were sort of facing directly away from a tree, and what that indicates is that she was spraying the tree, so she's probably marking territory. And if she's marking territory, it means that she may have moved, a fair distance. And she has been leaving them for longer and longer periods. She's gone off all the way into Biffleshoek and Torchwood over the last little while and left the cubs for, sort of 12 hours at a time. Because for the last maintaining very small pieces of territory. Look at those eyes. Those eyes are quite something. Janet, you want to know if a female territorially soars in the same way that a male does? Yes. They do, Janet. They absolutely soar in a territorial fashion in the same way that a male does. And Karula, the last time she was found, actually, was doing precisely that. VMP, should we go a little forward? Or do you just want to have a look there? There you can see George. There he is. And he's just very relaxed in his tree there. But we're not going to go any closer to him. Well, we could sneak a little bit further forward, but we wouldn't get a better view of him. The only reason I want to move is simply because I'm not 100% convinced Mum isn't here. Well, that's a satisfying start, really, isn't it, Vim? I'm going to sneak slightly forward. Just tell me when you should have a view now. There we are. Shamsun, you want to know if we're close enough to hear if Karula calls them? Yes, I think we probably are. We'd hear her going, ow, ow, ow. But only if the car was off. Right. I'm scanning the bushes for some deep white fur or some other spots sticking out. But I can't see anything. Down in the drainage, she could easily be sitting in a tree just above our heads. It's interesting that they're not together, I think, the two cubs. That they've chosen to be separate at the moment, and I think it's difficult for people to understand, especially if we've had a house cat, how independent leopards are and how soon that independence and need for solitude begins to manifest. So these leopards are 4.5 months old, and already they're starting to show signs of, not independence, but certainly the need for solitude. They will play a lot together over the coming months, but they're already starting to spend some lone time. Dina, you say, does she have a notch on her right ear? No, that's a normal notch. You mean underneath there, Dina? That's totally normal. They all have that. She's got that notch on both her ears, and you can see it from where you are. And you can see it, the angle of her head when she changes it. You'll see it on the other ear as well. Her ears are pristine. Fantastic that they're spending a bit more time here. You see what George is doing? George is now staring into the distance, beautifully silhouetted in his tree. Hello, Georgie. He's looking this way. Hello, fella. I think he's looking that way because someone on Lex's vehicle is blowing their nose quite strongly. Okay, everybody, we're going to give this another 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to pull out, just simply because the mum doesn't seem to be around. And I don't want there to be any undue pressure on them. They must feel free to join each other, should the need arise. Liam, where's Karula?
I don't know.
Why haven't you spotted her?
I think she's a little Gowrie.
I think she might well be south of our boundary. And this will not be a restful time for them, I mean, I know Georgie's having a little snooze in the top of the tree there, but they have to keep their eyes open. Oh, he's coming down. Gee whiz. Right, everyone, before he hits the ground, I'm going to make the call that we get out of here. I don't want to block him from his sister. I don't want him to be nervous on the ground. So we're going to move. And we're certainly not blocking him from his sister, but I don't want to sort of start up once they're settled without their mum. Unless that's their mother I've just seen. Hang on. No. Okay, everyone, a great sighting. Let's carry on. Let's head across to Brent, find out what his update is, but so good that those two little cubs are absolutely fine.
I went for a walk on those lion tracks and they jigged and they jagged, and unfortunately they went north. So we're going to now start heading a bit further south and maybe head about down to the west. I've got an update from Cheetah Plains, not much happening that side, so maybe we'll go see what's happening on Arathusa. And it's one of those mornings where it seems to get colder as it goes on, even though the sun is attempting to dissipate the cloud bank. It actually looks like it's doing a reasonably fine job so far. Remember, we are on a live African safari, and we are now going to go see if we can find a leopard. Okay, so Mom must be around somewhere if the cubs are there. So we're going to check, and there were male leopard tracks. Of course, unless we find some more lion tracks to follow. I was feeling like lions today, I really was. Unfortunately, they weren't feeling like us. Morning, Shamsun. Shamsun would like to know the success of the Styx Pride. Will it have a negative effect on the Nkuhumas, since they both fall under the coalition males, the Birmingham boys? I don't at all. If anything, the Styx Pride is still far more vulnerable to the Birmingham. I mean, to the Nkuhumas. The Nkuhumas have 5 adult lionesses, and the Styx only have 3 or 4. And that weight of numbers will generally keep the Styx out of the Nkuhuma territory. The Birminghams might dominate over both prides, but the Styx and Nkuhuma prides will fight between themselves. I'm just having a quick look. No tracks. So it's very, very interesting that the female lions, even though they share the same males, will fight and defend territory against each other. Now, the Styx made a brief incursion north. I haven't heard if they went back south last night. They went into Torchwood, which is just to the east of us here, and the Nkuhumas were in Torchwood at the same time. But the Styx seem to use the southern section of Torchwood and the eastern section, whereas the Nkuhumas are the north and western sections of Torchwood. Oh, there we go. Sounds like they found the tracks of the Styx Pride well to the east, near the Kruger Park boundary. Now, of course, we should be a little worried for Karula's cubs at the moment. Mvula's knocking about, and so is Sindile. And both those male leopards pose a huge threat to the Karula's cubs. Now, 70% of all recorded leopard cub mortalities are done by male leopards. Specifically male leopards like Sindile and like Mvula. One is a dispersal male. He's now got to go find his own little spot. And the other is an old dominant male who's now become a nomadic male because he's unable to hold territory. Hi, Lael in Washington. Oh, it's getting colder. Lael would like to know how long Sindile's rabies shots will last. Indefinitely, Lael. He will have to have other shots if he catches another rabid animal. But that hopefully will not happen, and he should be 100% fine. Now, they'll also like to know who named Sindile. And it was you, the viewers. I think he was named Mother's Day last year during a Nat Geo special weekend. And there was a little vote that was put out onto the Twitter sphere. And that's the name that was chosen, the most popular. There's a couple of options put through, and that's where he got his name. So far, very quiet on the track front for us. Now, the thing is with the Birmingham boys, being four of them, they often move around by themselves or just two of them. And it's not uncommon for male lions, so you never know if we might find another set of tracks to follow. Okay, so we're about to hit the southeastern corner, and I think we're going to head west from here. Oh, what track is that? Hyena, hyena. It is quite nippy at the moment. Seems to be getting colder. I see Dave has turned into the Michelin man behind me. He's added layer upon layer. So now all I can see is his eyes. Good morning, James B. James is wondering, when it's cold like this, do the animals find a place to keep warm, or do they like the cold? A lot of species aren't so fond of the cold, they're less fond of the wind. And what will happen is you'll find animals like buffalo, waterbuck, kudu, etc. will normally move to the top of a hill where it's slightly warmer, because of course warm air rises. Now, the predators, on the other hand, they quite like the cold. They have quite a tough time of it in the summer because they struggle to get rid of their body temperature, and so they pant. So you can find the predators moving about a bit more often in the cold weather. So they might be moving around later in the morning or even sometimes during the day. Now we're about to head towards the little Mwati River. Now that runs through the heart of Djuma. A beautiful little dry river system. Now most of our river systems here are dry for most of the year, and they only flow for very short periods at a time. We are quite an arid climate. On average we get about 350 millilitres of rain a year. This year we haven't even had half that, and we are in the grips of a drought. Although there is some speculation that come November or even September, the opposite of El Nino, I think it's called La Nina, is coming. So there's quite a lot of debate about whether we're going to have floods or we're going to have drought for a second year. So always checking carefully around here. Quite a popular spot for leopards on the edge of these river systems. Now I'm quite interested to see where all the tracks are this morning, and they're eluding me. Oh no, we found lots of tracks, but the tracks we were following unfortunately left our traverse area. Sounds like they found one of the Birmingham boys to the north. I'm pretty sure it's those tracks we were following. Hi, Rambling Tin Lizzie. Rambling Tin Lizzie's been wondering how James got the nickname Commander Bond. Well, I double A.
Hello everybody. We came down onto the southern boundary here to see if we could find some tracks of Mrs. Leopard. We did find some going across this way, round about exactly where we are now. But as Viam pointed out, they don't go all the way across the road, which either means there's been a tremendous amount of activity on this road since she walked across, or that they're not refreshed. So we're going to continue down here. My lapel looks like it's off. Lost it. Hang on. Sorry everybody, just fix the sound. Yes, I muted it by mistake. There we go. It's unmuted now. Now you will hear my voice in glorious high definition. High fidelity. Sorry, yes, Viam. High fidelity, not high definition. You get away with nothing on this car, I tell you what. Ah, there's Brent Leo Smith. He will check for tracks on this part of the road. Let me continue along here. See if I can't find them going perhaps that way. I think she could well be across the road there. Hunting, which is distressing because it means that she will hunt something there, kill it, and then take the cubbies away. Not nice of her. Anyway, let's see what else we can find. I have not seen any other kind of mammal, everyone. I don't think I've seen an impala today. There were no impala around here yesterday. There was one steenbok. So maybe we'll head along and to another part of the reserve and see what we can find. I do also want to go past the hyena den and see what's going on there. So maybe we'll do that. Sun has come out. It's not exactly a very shiny day, but every so often it's lovely. Now, Angie, you're in Wisconsin. You want to know about spotted hyena versus brown hyenas and their different calls that they make. Angie, a spotted hyena has a very different call from a brown hyena. I've actually never heard a brown hyena call, but a spotted hyena has a unique call. No other animal in the bush sounds like it, and it's because it lives socially. And so it has to have a whole suite of different calls to talk to, other members of the clan in a way that a brown hyena does not. A brown hyena, of course, is entirely solitary, unless they're mating or with cubs. It's a nice question. Brown hyena, very, very uncommon in this area. I think seen once on Safari Live by Peter Pretorius. But I'm afraid the rest of us have never seen a brown hyena in this area. They are in the Kruger, but they're not common. But they're amazing survivors. There was one seen in Johannesburg the other day. There's a little sort of, I suppose you could call it a park, but it's quite a long park, long thin park that runs the length of a river in Johannesburg. And that park revealed a brown hyena the other day, which is utterly bizarre. I mean, Johannesburg is a massive metropolitan area. Slightly upset sounding Franklin in here. Wondering if maybe Mrs. Karula hasn't popped down this way. But I don't see her. She will definitely also spend some alone time. You know, she might not only be away hunting. I've definitely seen leopards leaving their kids and having a little bit of a break from them. Let's just check down here. I'm going to go and have one more look in that area where we had the cubs, because we do have a little school drive this morning. The Johannesburg school is joining us from Johannesburg. Obviously, they're in Johannesburg. And I'll go and have one more look over there during the school drive, and we'll see. Anyway, let's see what else we can find. There were, I don't know how many of you were watching last night, but we had, sorry, there's great noise going on there. We did have, of course, that ping from Sindile's collar, and he was not far from where we were walking around on the Gowrie main road, so he might pop out too. That would be great. See the light just starting to break through now. Very beautiful. And perhaps Mvula as well. Now the radio is totally quiet. Let's just stop down here. See what we can see. No more tracks on the road. I just want to quickly show you, many of you will know this, but many of you will not, perhaps. This, everybody, is a strychnos bush, and they are the bushes that make that horrible sound when we're driving through the blocks. And they're very distinctive for this sort of three-veined, or tri-venation, if you like, coming from the base of the leaf. And they have got strychnine in the seeds of the fruit, and that's why they're called strychnos. Now, look at this, Viam. Everywhere you look, if you get down to the micro level, there is some kind of animal. And just on the bottom of the leaf there, can you see it?
Which leaf this?
This one right here. It's very small. There's a caterpillar that is pupating. Tiny, tiny caterpillar. You see it? Now, I think that's what we call a leaf tear, everybody. And if you look around, let me turn the leaf around, you can see the leaf has been eaten out from the middle. You see that? Now, those sort of almost individual cells of the leaf have been eaten out from the middle of between the dermal layers. So although a leaf almost looks 2D to us, looking 2 dimensions, it does exist in 3 dimensions. And all along the strychnos bush, leaf tear caterpillars have eaten away the middle of the leaf like that. And I think they avoid a lot of the structural material, so they don't get the lignin and the cellulose, which makes it much easier for them to digest what they find. I think that's incredible. And that's there, a tiny, tiny microscopic caterpillar, probably about 1 millimeter long. It's really quite cool. Okay, that's Strychnos madagascarensis, the black monkey orange. I'm a bit regretful that I broke that tree off there, because now I'm not sure that the caterpillar will survive. I'm sure there are others. You think I should feel guilt, Viam?
Yes.
You do? Okay, I will then. I'll feel guilt for a little while. All right, on we go. So everywhere you look around here, there is some bit of life going on. I'm just keeping looking in the trees. I've been so excited about it. I'm just going to quickly talk to Andrew. No, it's fine. let's go and have a look on Twin Dams Road. I'm just going to check with my communications with the final control. They seem to have gone radio silent. Are you guys still there? Now, Mvula's son in quarantine used to like to live in this bush here, in this beautiful tree. And that is called a Scotia brachypetala, or weeping boerbean. Stunning, stunning tree. And quarantine used to like to hang around in there. Isn't that beautiful? The bark of that tree, let me tell you this before we go to the school drive, apparently can be very effectively used to cure a hangover, which was important yesterday after our little party we had post our TV show. We had a little wrap party, and most of us were feeling a little bit fragile yesterday morning, and perhaps we should have come along to this tree. We're going to have a quick look at the actual Twin Dams and then turn on, come back this way and drive around. What do you see, Viam? Why are you sniffing like that? You're just sighing because we're not looking at leopards killing something. Lions. Viam was actually slightly unimpressed when we found those leopards. He seemed very excited to see some lions this morning. Rebecca, if that was a communication, I'm afraid I didn't hear it. Gary, you want to know if running over dung makes the vehicle smell. Gary, running over dung, it depends entirely on the dung. If you run over lion dung, it smells absolutely horrendous. If you run over elephant dung, it doesn't tend to make a difference at all. No. You can't really hear that or smell that. But lion dung definitely smells utterly horrendous. And if you run over lion dung, you can almost hear it. It's so powerful. So this is Twin Dams, which will hopefully fill up into a remarkable water source. There's an impala, VM. You see it? Yes! Woo! On the dam wall. 2 of them, VM. A great teeming herd. Let's keep our distance in case they run away, everyone. A young male impala. There we go. Very nice, VM. Well done. We'll just go a little bit further along here. Keep looking into the trees with a draping tail. Oh, there's a hippopotamus lying down in the bush. We're not going to go any closer because they will run away. Isn't that amazing? How bizarre. Now that you do not want to find when you're on foot trying to find a leopard walking through the thick bush. And the reason for that, of course, is that they are very threatened when they're out of the water and so potentially very dangerous. Now, what's interesting is that that kind of situation where there's a hippopotamus lying out of the water is going to become more and more common as the dry season progresses post this drought. There's a waterbuck sitting very nicely framed through there. There we are. And there's just very little water around for young bull hippos who've been tossed out of the pod to go and find. Marco, we were talking about a little bit about rain and water, and you say, is there a possibility of landslide? No, there isn't. Very few opportunities for landslide. Landslide normally happens where you've got a bit of sort of a clay on the top surface, and or clay on the surface layer of the soil, and very poor drainage. So eventually the soil and the slope combine to make, it gets too heavy when the water's flowing into it, and then it will fall off the slope. But here, there's not a huge amount of clay in the soil. There's also very little topography. You can see it's very gently undulating, and so there's no real slope for anything to fall off here. And so no landslides in this particular area, really not a problem. And indeed, in most of South Africa, landslides are not an issue. Let's go and have a look from the top of the dam wall here. Just see if there aren't any further tracks. I don't see any further Mvula tracks. Anyway, time will tell. Now that hippo, he wouldn't follow off into the bush there because he will be very nervous on his own, very nervous out of the water, and I think he's probably just looking for a bit of sun to go and lurk in for a while, warm up a bit, and then he'll lie in the deep shade. And Herbert, who was out tracking the other day, he was tracking some leopard. He came across a hippopotamus in the bush alone. And the hippo was quite close to him, but because he's very skilled in the bush, he managed to just stand up quickly and get away. I'm going to have to turn this radio off, I'm afraid. It's just too loud. There's too much going on the other reserves. You're not missing out on anything. It's not like they've found anything. Everybody's just tracking and keeping updated with what's going on. A couple of lion tracks and that sort of thing. All right, let's head across to Brent Leo Smith for an update. We'll see if we can't find any more leopard tracks here.
Hi guys, so unfortunately I found some gremlins a little earlier when I was busy answering about how James got the nickname Commander Bond. I'm not really sure, I think it just happened. I think James happened to be talking in a Sean Connery-esque voice, and James does like to liken himself to a secret agent. So Commander Bond is of course James Bond's official rank. So I'm on my way to a surprise. So we've crossed onto Arathusa, and I've just got to be on the radio for a second. Sorry about this. Sorry, Neil, confirm I can make my way straight in. Copy, thanks very much, Neil. Okay, now I wonder what's down in the Marikani River. Could it be a turtle dove? Hello, pigs. Here you go, some warthogs at Red Dam. Oh. What did the mommy warthog see on the other side? Now, quite interesting there, we've got what looks to be 3 ages. We've got the big female up on the left, and then we've got a slightly older female in the middle between the 2 of this year's babies. Can you hear some elephants making some noise? But now, it's not uncommon for female offspring of a warthog to stay with mom and actually keep living with mom for a while. So you have related sounders, and look what's coming just to the right of the warthogs. So we've got both grey tusked beasts we get you in the same shot. Oh, is it a young bull? Is he going to chase the warthogs? That is the next question. Sometimes that does happen. See that? It looks like a young bull. I wonder if he's going to pop down towards Red Dam for a drink. I can hear elephants all around us at the moment. You can hear branches breaking everywhere. I'm just going to sit here quietly and see what this elephant does. I'm hoping it comes down to the water that's just next to us. Just going to position to get ourselves into a good spot if he does come, and also do a bit of birding while we wait for him to come through the thickets. Now, right on the edge of the water there, Dave, some yellow-fronted canaries. Oh, big little, well, a little big flock. Oh, and they all took off because the elephant shook his head. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So he's up on the dam wall now. Hello, mister. Now he's coming up to us. Might come give us an inspection. Hello, mister. I think he's... Oh, you're being very naughty. Are you coming to cause trouble? No, you're not. Good boy. Go have a drink. Behave yourself. I'm watching you. He's got a bit of a mischievous glint in his eye, this young Ellie bull. Now, this is a pumped water hole, and he's actually smelling where the fresh water comes out. He'd prefer to have water straight from the ground. He's decided he's not thirsty unless it's crystal clear. Sorry about my head there. So it sounds like he's going to move off towards where the other elephants are. But there is some more elephants still coming out of the bush opposite us. I'm just going to call it in on the radio quickly. There comes another Ellie. There's a Ndlov to the south of Red Dam and some Madoda and Ndlov at Red Dam itself. You can actually hear lots of elephants around. There's another young bull sniffing us from the other side. They do seem a bit agitated this morning. Oh, warthog, watch out. The warthog just ran. That's why his head's up. He chased the warthog. As soon as the warthog had one look at that, he was out of there. Now, you can see how I say he's not 100% happy. You can see his tail sticking out there. And I think there could be a big bull in the area that's giving these young bulls a hard time. Okay, let's just move a little bit further towards where we can hear the others. I was really hoping they'd stop for a little drink, but obviously not that thirsty. Ooh, we're on our way to the surprise. I'm just going to be on the radio for a second quickly. Standing by. I'm at Red Dam. Confirmed best access is straight down Murricane. Firm, yeah. There's also just lots and lots of enjoyable just to the south of Red Dam. Copy, thanks very much. Okay, so we're on our way for a surprise. And we've already been spoilt with a sighting of Karula's little beauties. And we are on our way to something else feline, but we are having to pass lots of elephants while we do that. Hello, Ellies. Let's calm down. No need to be uppity now. So they do seem a little bit agitated. They could, as I said, it could be a big bull in the area. Don't you even think about charging me from behind that bush. Yes, I saw you. I knew your plan before you did, mister. Another young bull. Don't be naughty. Yes, now what? We have a standoff. So elephants quite often, when you get into these situations, are used to doing the biggest thing and everything runs away from them. So all you do is stop. And like this, they feel a bit awkward. Oh, sorry, it's not a young bull, so it's an adult female. It's okay, madam. Here we go. Put your tail down. We're not wanting to cause trouble, but also don't want you to chase me while I'm going through here. There we go. Off she goes. So quite important not... Hey! Stop it. Enough of this nonsense. Yes. Pretend to eat the tree. Try to sneak at me through the bush. Naughty elephant. So there we go. All it took was a little bang on the side of the car, and she's behaving herself now. So it's very important not to race away when an elephant does that, because you can sort of teach them to chase cars. Right. It can be quite scary. They are massive animals. And you could just see she was up to mischief. Body language and that, and the way she moved around, she tried to sort of sneak a charge through the bush at us. So we're in the little Marakeni riverbed at the moment. So even though it looks like a road, this is actually the riverbed and lovely river sand here. To make sure there's no elephants around the corner. No, not today. Oh, more elephants. Hello. So again, we just want to make sure we don't upset them. Hello, big girl. So there's another vehicle who's having a similar situation to what we had with that young bull earlier. But in this situation, you see this big female, completely calm, tails down. We're busy being stalked by another young bull on this side who thought I didn't see him. Yes, I see you. And we've got two little boys on either side of us. Now, who's going to shake his head at us first is the question. I got a feeling it's going to be him. This is a wonderful traffic jam. We're trying to get to a cat, and we're spending quite a bit of time in the middle of elephants. Yeah, we're going to try and make some space here now. We've got a traffic jam in the riverbed. Oh, what's wrong with my four-wheel drive now? There we go. It's fine, it'll be easier for me in this Mover. It's light. Oh, I'm sorry, mister. To you too. Thanks, man. Cheers, enjoy. Okay, we've managed to avoid a head-on collision in our morning traffic jam with not an elephant but another vehicle. Yeah, I'm at Buff Skull Crossing. Thank you very much. Now, normally when I try surprise, I give it away on the radio, but not this time. I've been too smart. But while we go look for a kitty cat, James has got another one of Africa's apex predators.
Now, everybody, we've just come into the area where the hyena den is, and we're just close by, and I didn't want to go any further because we will definitely have to disturb this fellow when we move in towards the den. The den is directly behind there where Viam's showing you, and I'm hoping that those little tiny baby hyenas will stick their heads out. But there is one. So what we're going to do is wait here for the school drive. Hello, kiddies from Rodine School for Girls there in Johannesburg Parktown. I'm very familiar with your school, you know. I attended the small stone school across the road for 12 years, many years ago. So you're most welcome, Mrs. van der Merwe's class, I believe, and Mrs. Gonsalves or something like that. It's great to have you with us. And please send us your questions. I'm not looking at you because the beautiful African sun is now in my eyes. It's very difficult to see. So please send us your questions and ask us anything you like during the next little while, and we'll tell you about what we're seeing. And a very special welcome to my cousin Grace. Hello, Gracie. I hope you're having a good time at school today. And, of course, to the daughter of the father of Safari Live, Graham Wallington, your daughter Mia. Hello, Mia. Lovely to see you. We've definitely met many times, and it's good to have you with us. We're going to sneak forward now, everybody. There's a hyena on the road, like you saw. And we're going to go around the corner. There's a den site there. There's a little termite mound in which many hyenas have been living. We don't know if they're there now, so you're going to discover that with us. Let's go a little bit forward. This hyena is definitely going to move. And you'll see, we just don't want to give him too much of a fright, so we're going to move very, very slowly forward, and we'll go around the corner and see if the baby hyenas, there were some tiny babies, only this big, in that den site just a few days ago. So let's go and have a look. It's so good to be talking to kids from Johannesburg. You know, we do lots of talks for kids or game drives for kids in America, but it's really lovely to do it for some South Africans. This hyena hasn't moved at all. It's quite a chilly morning. I don't think he wants to move, but he doesn't have to move. This is interesting. So if we don't make too much noise, maybe he will stay. So don't make any noise where you're sitting now. Hold your breath as we go past. I'm actually just going to stop here for a little while because it's so nice to have a hyena so close by. Everyone, he's only about 1 meter from the vehicle. Oh, there are lots of hyenas now. Look in front of us there, just over there, walking through the bush, including a little one. Now, that's not the very little one, but it is one of the little ones that we see here quite regularly. That's really nice to see. And this one is still right here. Good morning. Looks like a young male. And it's very difficult to tell which one's a male and female with hyenas because the females are bigger than the males. Isn't that special? I don't know how many of you have gone to the Kruger National Park before. I'm sure many of you have travelled with your family to the Kruger. And we are in the middle of the Kruger National Park. Isn't that nice? There we go. Just walking behind the car. My name is James, by the way. I'm sure Gracie would have told you that. And on camera today we have Viam. And on the other vehicle, a very giraffe-like man called Brent Leo Smith, and he's searching for cats not too far from where we are now. Let's head across to him. I think he may have found a cat.
A big welcome to Rodine and to Gracie and Mia. Of course, we are sitting here in a little riverbed, and we've got a big surprise for you. So, are you ready, Dave? Now, oh, quickly, he looks like he's on the move. Not really. He's got a full belly. he's got a warthog in the tree, but look at this. It's a big male leopard. Now, it's always amazes me how they eat like that, and I don't think he's going to last too long sleeping on his arm like that. There we go. So this is a big male leopard. His name is Mvula. Now, I hope you girls are ready to ask us lots of questions, and I might ask you guys a question or two as well. And he's trying to get comfortable. Oh, isn't that beautiful? So he's eaten half a young warthog already, and he's put it in the tree next to him. We will show you the warthog just now. I just think he's going to move, and we might get a nice visual of his head in a second. I don't think he's going to manage to last being comfortable in that position. But they always astound us. No, he's just moving too much. So I know Mia knows exactly where we are, but if any of the other girls there don't know where we are, we're in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. And it's famous for these cats. It's probably one of the best places in the world to see leopard. Isn't this amazing? We're sitting a few meters away from a very big male leopard. Oh, there he is. Oh, I was waiting for that. I didn't think he was going to be too comfortable the way he was. Now, he's an old boy. Probably between 11 and 13 years old. And he's got to the stage now where he's not the big boss around here anymore. So he's sort of in retirement. And what that means is he's going to sneak around trying to avoid the other male leopards. So he doesn't have his own territory anymore. He wanders all over the place. That is absolutely exquisite. Now, while he snoozes, just down the tree from him, to the left, is his dinner. Our leopards are quite clever because they manage to keep their dinner for a while. So they put it up in the tree to keep it away from lions and hyenas. And there we go, you can see it's a young warthog. And I wonder if it's part of that warthog family we saw a little bit earlier before you guys joined us. Seldom catch warthogs. It's male leopards that normally do that. Now, I know you guys are studying habitat at the moment, and we're sitting in ideal leopard habitat. So we're on the edge of a little dry river system where there are lots of big, beautiful evergreen trees like this leopard is lying in. This tree is actually called a scotia, or a weeping boerbean. And I'm going to ask Dave to come out wide, and we're going to show you the habitat. And this is a very, very, very common spot to find leopards, is on the edge of these little rivers. So you can see through that gap there, that's where the river bed is, and we're in the riverine thickets that occur on the edge. So it's a thick area, generally with nice big trees, and you can see there's a little Tamboti Grove over there. And not only I've spotted something else. This is not only good leopard habitat, but it's good for lots of other animals. And I think this warthog actually lived in that big termite mound that Dave was just showing you. So we zoom in a little bit to the right there, Dave. There we go. You can see behind that fallen stick is an old hole that was probably dug by an aardvark. Now, warthogs take over these, and that's where they live. So I think this poor warthog probably got caught on his way home last night and happened to find a leopard waiting. So, I'm Brent, and we've got our first question from Kada. Hi, Kada. Kada would like to know, why do leopards like hiding in trees and in mountains? Well, in this area, the leopards use the trees to make sure they can stay away from lions and hyenas. So leopards will put their food in the tree to make sure no one else can steal it. Now, in the mountains, they don't really hide in the mountains as such, but they live in very steep areas, and that's mainly because people have pushed them there. So leopards would have preferred to be outside of the high mountains originally, but now with all the farmers and everything there, farmers don't like leopards. They tend to eat their cows. So that's why they tend to be high up in the mountains. But in the bush, they actually spend most of their time on the ground. It's only when they've got to kill, and that's when they go into the tree. Sorry, I've just got to be on the game drive radio with the other game drive. Yeah, Pete, just make your way straight in. It's just me here. Now, he's having a nice snooze. And Virginia, hello Virginia, welcome on the live safari this morning. Virginia would like to know, why do leopards have spots? Well, Virginia, it's to help with their camouflage. It breaks their outline. It makes it easier for them to hide when they're trying to catch different animals. So it helps to make them, just think, if they were pure white, they'd be easy to see, even if they were pure yellow. So what that does is it acts like shade almost to break up their outline. But we're going to sit here, and hopefully this big male leopard is going to get up and walk to his kill. While we wait for him to do that, let's go see what James is up to.
You're so lucky, everybody. Isn't that special? A big male leopard to start off your drive. I think that's just the best thing in the world. But close second to the best thing in the world is a little baby hyena. Now, this is the mother hyena, and she is sitting inside this very big termite mound. You can see a hole there, dug by an animal called an aardvark. I think you should all try and say aardvark. You ready? When I count to three, you're all going to say aardvark. 1, 2, 3, aardvark. And it basically means earth pig. And the earth pig or ant bear would have dug that hole to get the termites that were living in this termite mound. And that was a long time ago. And then this hyena female would have come, and she's given birth to 2 little babies. But now you can see that she can smell something. You can see her nose is very big, and it's moving in the wind, and the wind is coming closer. You can see her nose working there. She can smell something on the wind there. And Mia, hello Mia, nice to hear from you. We'll wait here a little bit to see if that hyena mother comes back out again. She smelled something I think she thinks is dangerous on the wind as the wind started to blow. Mia, you want to know why hyenas have such strong teeth? Well, Mia, you know that if you have a chop on the braai or maybe a piece of chicken, the hardest bit to get through, of course, is the bone. And much of the time we throw the bones away from the meals that we eat. And in the hyena's case, they don't throw the bones away. They bite through the bones. And inside the bone, you may notice that sometimes if you have like a lamb stew, for example, delicious lamb stew, and when it's cold in Johannesburg in the winter, I'm sure that you do have lamb stew every so often, in the middle of the bone, there is a piece of fat. And that fatty stuff in the middle of the bone is called the marrow, and it's really good food. It's really good nutrition. And only the hyenas have got teeth and jaws strong enough to bite through a big heavy bone like a buffalo bone or a giraffe bone and get to that marrow. And that's why they've got such very strong teeth. Let's wait another 2 minutes here. Oh, there she's coming out. She's coming out. Just see her nose. And can you see the wind blowing? You can hear it blowing, and you can just see a few leaves blowing past. And with every breath of wind, a sensitive nose like that hyena's will pick up lots of different smells. Now, our noses are not very good. I know that sometimes you smell something unpleasant or something nice, but imagine that horrible smell that you smell, all those very nice smells that you smell, multiplied by 10 or 20 times, so they're that much stronger. And so every time the wind blows, that hyena is smelling changes completely. And that's why she looks, and her nose is twitching constantly, like those ears. See her ears also listening? Maybe listening to the little babies. I'm hoping they're going to come out, but you know what? The rest of the hyenas have moved off from here. They went off down there. There was an impala shouting through there. I don't know, maybe there's some lions around here, maybe another leopard. But the hyenas are now the little ones have gone inside and the others have disappeared off. So I think we're going to move on from here and see what else we can find. So very lucky we were to have that leopard. So let's carry on here and see what else we can find. Now the rest of the clan of hyenas belong in a clan. And a clan is like a family, but it's a big family dominated by females, unlike most of the mammals out here, where the males are much bigger, the females are much bigger here, and they are the dominant ones. That means that they're the bosses. They boss all the males around. The males have to do what they say. So I'm sure you'll think that's a very good idea where you are sitting. And it probably is a good idea because they're very successful animals. And in this clan, they're probably about, we think there are about 20 animals in total. Lots of little ones. And at the moment, those are the two newest ones. They're only about 2 weeks old. Then we've got some that were born in January, some that were born in December last year, some that were born in June last year, and some that were born in February last year. So it's quite a young clan of hyenas, all led by a very big female who, guess what we call her? We call her the same thing that you call your teacher. We call her Madam. And Madam, much like your Madam, is fully in charge of the whole hyena clan. So we're just going to drive out here and see if we can't maybe see Madam. But I think the hyenas have gone into this area here where we're not allowed to drive because it's too thick with bushes. And there are also many, many steep hills. The car can't go up and down. Now, I don't see anything else going on in here, but we might be lucky. Liam and I came driving through here when you were looking at the leopard. We came driving through here and we heard an impala making alarm calls. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of you know what an impala is. I'm pretty sure that all of you have been to the bush at some stage, either to the Waterberg or maybe to the Kruger. And the impala makes a noise that I want you also to make. When it sees a predator, like a hyena or a leopard or a lion, it goes... And then the hyena or the lion knows that it's seen, and they normally sort of slink away. It's the impala saying, I see you, I know that you want to eat me, but go away, because I'm very fast. There's the impala, and he's still actually looking in this direction. But he's not making his noise anymore. You can see he's on his own. And an impala, of course, survives by being in a group. And somehow, this impala has managed to lose the rest of his group, so I don't know where they are. That means he's on his own. And an impala on his own is very, very vulnerable indeed. Vulnerable means that because he doesn't have the other eyes and ears and noses of all the impala in his herd, He's only got his own eyes to rely on, and that's quite dangerous if you happen to be an impala size, because we know that lions and leopards and wild dogs and hyenas and cheetahs all like to eat impala. And he's close to the hyena den, but he won't be worried about them at this time of the day. You know, they like to hunt in the night time, and they're also not nearly as fast as an impala. So if he sees them coming, he won't be worried. And that's why they alarm call at the predators when they see them, to say, I see you, don't come any closer. Let's go around the corner here and see what else we might be able to see. Hello, Nua. What a very good question you ask. You say, Brent and I scared out here. No, Nua, we're not scared, but that's because we are experienced here. So, yes, sometimes when we're walking on foot, we have to be very careful. And when we see elephants, then we are very careful, and we can get nervous sometimes, but we don't live here in fear. But that's just because we know what's going on. So you saw Brent there, who's sitting with a big male leopard, and you know that leopards are predators. We also know that hyenas are predators. But because we know that they're not going to jump into the car, and they don't jump into the car because they don't see us as something to eat, it means that we're not scared. So because we spend a lot of time around the elephants and the buffalo and all the other big animals out here, we get used to their behavior, and so we're not that nervous anymore. Sometimes we can get nervous, but you know how sometimes you can even get nervous at school. Maybe you get into a situation where you know you're in trouble, for example. If you've done something naughty, you've got yourself into trouble, and then you get nervous. Well, it's the same thing out here. If we do something silly, like we get too close to an animal, yes, then we can get nervous too. But in the same way that you know what's going to get you into trouble, so because we have experience here, we know what's going to get us into trouble, and so we just generally try and avoid doing things like that, because we don't like to be nervous. It's horrible to be scared. Hello, Mia Top, that's a lovely name. You want to know how long those hyenas live for? Well, you know, not very long. In the same way that your domestic dog at home or your kitty, they don't live very long, do they? And so hyenas don't live too long either, probably only about 12 or 13 years. If they're in captivity where they've got lots to eat and there's not so much danger around, then they might live for 15 or 16 years. But out here, probably only 12 or 13 years, so not very long at all. That's a good question. So those young hyenas that we saw walking off there, which are probably only, I think those were the ones born in December last year, or no, maybe the November ones. They were born in November last year, and so they are now, if we calculate it, January, March, April, May, June, July. So they're only just over 6 months old. And they are the equivalent, let's say, of a 6-month-old, probably about the same as a sort of 7 or 8-year-old human being, so same as you. So they get much older, much quicker than we do as human beings. Let's go down this road here. There's a nice water hole. Georgia, you're obviously very, very clever, or you're interested in animals. Georgia, you say, what kind or what time of year do hyenas have babies? Georgia, they don't have a specific time of year. So remember, I've just said to you that we had some born in February last year, June last year, November last year, December last year, January this year, and now new ones in June this year. So there's no real time of year for hyenas. The animals that have a time of year to have babies are normally the herbivores. And I'm sure you all know what a herbivore is. That's an animal that eats only grass or leaves or vegetables. And they give birth normally during the rainy season. And because there's lots of food to eat. What have you got there? Viam's found us a very special little creature. Look, everybody. He's a caterpillar. Now, many of you will think, ugh, a caterpillar. But you know, I don't know how many of you keep silkworms. I don't know if people still keep silkworms. But a caterpillar is just the same as a silkworm. Now, while we're watching him, everyone, I want you to count his legs. How many legs do you think he has? See if you can count them. He's walking up my hand. How many legs does he have? Send your answers in quickly and we'll give you an answer. Because I promise you he's got far fewer legs than you think he has. Oh, he's climbing into a big forest of hairs there. I think we should take him out of that forest. And I'll just turn him over so that you can see his legs. You see that? There we are. Isn't that nice? I can hear something moving in the bushes up ahead. Tell us how many legs you think he has, and then I'll try and keep him, and I'll show you. Something's moving in the bushes here. I think it may be a grey go-away bird, which, as you know, you will find in your garden in Johannesburg. I've definitely seen them when I've been having lunch with Gracie. They've stopped moving now. And Hannah, you say, do the hyenas dig their own holes? Hannah, they don't. They do modify them though, so they make them bigger, but they don't start the holes. Those are started by the aardvark or the ant bear. And then when the little ones are born, they dig open, or they dig the back of the hole open. George, I just want to finish answering your question because it is a nice question to go with Hannah's. So when the babies are born, it's normally 2 babies, 1 or 2, very seldom more than that. Then they dig. As soon as they're born, you know, they're born with their eyes open, they're born with teeth, unlike a domestic dog and domestic cat, all of which are born with their eyes shut and they're totally helpless and blind. A hyena isn't like that. So they dig immediately when they're born, and they sort of modify the hole, make it a bit better for what they want to do in it. So I'm still holding my caterpillar here, so send us your answers to how many legs you think it's got. And while you're thinking about that, let's go across to Brent, who looks like a giraffe, and he's got an animal that looks the same.
We've left that male leopard who's in the habitat around the riverbed. Now we've moved out to a slightly different habitat, and in different habitats you have different animals. So it's very unlikely we're ever going to find a giraffe down in the river unless they're just crossing it. But a giraffe out here on the edge of a seep line where we've got different types of trees that giraffe like to eat. Now here we've got a very big old giraffe bull. Now, if we look carefully at his head, he actually's got an old injury, and that was probably from fighting. And now you can see he's chewing, he's got some food in his mouth, but that's not food he's eaten right now. So a giraffe is a ruminant, and if we watch carefully, we'll watch him swallow, and then he'll bring up food again from his tummy. So what he does is he makes sure he gets all the good stuff out of the plant. So he eats it more than once, but he looks like he might start feeding, or is he going to wander off? Now, a giraffe's favorite food is an acacia tree. Hello, Aurora. Now, we're looking at a very strong animal in a male giraffe, but he's by no means the strongest of the strong out here in the bush. And the strongest of the strong is the elephant. And a big male elephant. There we go. He's going to stop and have a snack over there. A big male elephant, he can probably lift a tractor or roll over a tractor at least. And he weighs about the same as 4 or 3 big 4x4 trucks, and about 6,000 kilograms. Well, we're going to go see if we can find you some elephants after we leave this giraffe, and we will be looking at the different habitats that we pass through. So I'm going to let the giraffe munch away, and what we have here is sort of the edge of a seepline. Now, this is a very important habitat because it's got good grass species on it, and a lot of animals like grass. So if we swing off to the right slightly, please, Dave, slowly, there we go. You see it's a little bit more open than thick woodland, and you see there's lots of grass in between everywhere. Now, the reason is this, that there's water traveling under the ground towards the river system, and the grass species like more water than the trees. That's why you have less trees here. And certain tree species like deep water, not shallow water. So their root systems will struggle to get all the way through because a lot of their root systems are very deep, and the trees you generally find around here have slightly shallower root systems. Well, we're going to move on. I did see some elephants earlier this morning, so I think I'm going to go have a look if we can find them again. Now, one must remember, habitat is quite an important word out here in the bush. Habitat doesn't have to be a big thing like that. You can have a habitat in a dead tree, just like this one here, that's been pushed over by elephants. Now, let's have a closer look at that. So now, this is a habitat in itself. So you don't need to be a big thing to be a habitat. A termite mound is a habitat. A dead log is a habitat. So in a dead log like this, you've got to be always careful when you're poking around in dead logs, because it's the habitat for scorpions and spiders and beetles and bugs, and quite a few of those are able to bite you. I'm just having a quick look to see if I can find a scorpion. But no scorpions today, but I don't want to put my hands too deep in there. But a habitat can even be a very small thing, like a dead log. And different animals obviously use different habitats. So it's very important that we look after all habitats. Hello, Cada. We just saw that magnificent big male giraffe, and Cada's wondering, how many bones does a giraffe have in its neck? Now, Cada, that's a very good question, because with a giraffe having a big neck like that, it looks like he must have to have lots. He doesn't. He's got the exact same amount as you, and it's 7, Cada. So a giraffe has 7 vertebra or vertebra bones in its neck. Now, you guys are asking such wonderful questions. I'm going to give you a little quiz. So you guys out there, we've seen some incredible animals so far, but if you've heard of the big 5, now those are the animals when people come on safari they really want to see. So who at Rodin can tell me what 5 animals make up Africa's big 5? So why don't you let me know if anyone's smart enough. Mia, I know you know the answer, so let everyone else have a chance. Hello, Tumelo. Tumelo would like to know why a giraffe has a long neck. So it didn't always have a long neck, so it's something that's developed over many thousands or hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Now, the reason all animals develop a special quality is for 2 reasons only. It's for competition for food or competition for girlfriends. And so the reason a giraffe has a long neck, it's so he can get more girlfriends. And the reason for that is that the giraffes with the longest necks are the strongest and are able to swing their neck in a fight and hit the other male giraffe so he can get all the ladies that are around. So a lot of people, for a long time it was thought that the giraffes got their long neck so they could get to other food, but it seems like the evolutionary advantage of that is not as high as it is for getting girlfriends. So giraffes have a long neck to get girlfriends, and also it helps them to eat leaves that other animals can't get to. Amy, that is a very good question. Why does a giraffe have spots? Now, with the leopard, spots are there for it to remain hidden. So you probably find giraffe spots are there for the same reason, although as they've evolved and become bigger, those spots have become less and less useful. So it's probably just a leftover evolutionary trait, but it would be there to break up the outline, so it's harder to see them, or harder for the lions to see them. But because they're so big and so tall, it changes a little bit. But another very big advantage of that giraffe's long neck is he's so tall he can often see the lions long before they get close to him. Okay, now I'm going to try to find those elephants again. There were lots of them just over there, so we're going to loop round and down into that area, and hopefully we find you some ellies shortly. Now, ellies are very important in the habitat. So elephants are one of the animals out here that change the habitat. So we're going through a drought at the moment, and the elephants are knocking down more trees than they normally would. Now, that's not a bad thing. So what happens is the elephants will create more open areas for more grass, and a lot more animals eat grass than trees. So it's always a good thing. And nature's a big system, and the habitats will change over time. And elephants are one of the animals that are able to change their habitat. So in a normal year, when there's a lot of rain and lots of grass, during summer, the elephants, 80% of what they eat will be grass and only 20% trees. During winter, it swaps around, and 20% of what they eat will be grass and 80% trees. But because we're in a drought now, you probably find the figure on trees for the summer was much, much higher. They maybe even ate as much as 50% trees during the summer, or maybe even a little bit more. And during the winter now, they're almost exclusively eating trees. Hi, Masana. Masana wants to know why giraffes have black tongues. Masana, I honestly don't know the answer to that. So that's a very good question. You've stumped me on the spot. Maybe James has an idea, but I can't think of any ideas. So the color that makes dark colors is a little thing in the genetics called melanin. And I can't think of any reason why, other than just because. Most animals actually have dark tongues, impala and lots of the other animals, and I can't think of any particular reason for it. Maybe James has an idea. It's always amazing how an animal the size of an elephant can disappear so quickly. But there was a very big herd, so I'm hoping we'll catch up with them in not too long. Well done, Kiara. She got the question right. Africa's big five is lion, elephant, leopard, rhino, and buffalo. So far, we've seen one member of Africa's big five, and I'm on the hunt for another to show you. Now, let's go see if we can find some elephants. While we do that, let's go see what Jamesy's up to on the other car.
You won't believe it, everybody, but look what we've come to see. Under the shade of that tree there is a tiny, tiny, little baby leopard cub. See? Just moving there. We're a long way away. We're not going to get any closer because this little leopard cub's mum is not around, so we don't want to make her afraid. We've just come to see if the mum is here, and that is a little female leopard. And we saw her brother earlier this morning while you were still driving to school. And her brother was in a tree close by, and he doesn't seem to be here anymore. I think he's probably moved closer to her, or he's lying in the sun somewhere nearby. Isn't that sweet? She's only 4 months old, everyone. Hello, Vuyiswa. You ask a very good question about how we tell if that's a male or a female. It's only because we know her. She's got, and we can tell the difference at this distance because she's got very brown eyes, and her brother's got much bluer eyes, and that's how we tell the difference between these two. But otherwise, you have to look behind their tails in the same way that you do with a dog or a cat, and that's how you tell if they're male or female. And you see how beautifully hidden she is. She's now sleeping. She's very tired. Just like lots of little babies, they're very tired. And Malika, you're interested in how many babies a leopard can have at one time. Well, you know, it's supposed to be up to 6, but that very seldom happens. It's normally 2 or 3, and normally 2 is the best because that's what the kind of ideal number for a mummy leopard to be able to look after. Because it's difficult to feed a leopard in these conditions. I'm going to sneak a little bit forward now, and we'll just see if we can't catch sight of the other one. Now, I have named these 2 leopards George and Charlotte after the 2 royal prince and, or the royal prince and the royal princess. Those are not their real names, of course, but that's how I refer to them, simply because I think it's quite fun to give them names like that. So that's Charlotte we're looking at sitting on the top of the tree there, at least the termite mound. You can see how these termite mounds are very important parts of the bush here, because we've seen the hyenas in a termite mound as well. And I'm just going to stop up here and see if we can't get a slightly better view of Charlotte there on the mound. And also maybe the mum will come back, and then we can go a bit closer. But we must be very careful not to frighten any of the animals out here. And when they're little and on their own and without their mothers, well, it's very easy to frighten them. So there you can just see her looking at you. And I'm going to keep scanning the area with my binoculars to see if I can see any of the other leopards. So it's George and Charlotte and their mum, whose name is Karula, and she's 12 years old. Now that, remember, we were talking about the ages of the hyenas. 12-year-old is pretty old, you know. It's about the same as about a 50-year-old human. My son, a nice one from you, of course, because you know that spotted cats come in different kinds, don't you? You want to know the difference between a spotted leopard and a spotted cheetah. Well, my son, if you've seen one and you've seen the other, you would never mistake one for the other. The biggest difference, of course, and I'm afraid we can't see it too closely here because we're not very close by, the biggest difference is that a cheetah has got spots where a leopard has got rosettes. Now, what rosettes means is little groups of spots that make a circle, and inside the circle is a little bit of gold. And that's what leopards have got. Cheetahs don't have the same thing. They've just got plain spots. A cheetah is also, we're going to leave this little leopard here, everyone, and we'll just drive around and see if Mum isn't close by. But, my son, they're built completely differently. So, you will know that some people are tall and lanky, like Brent Leo Smith, who you've just met, who looks a little bit like a giraffe. And other people are short and strong. And a leopard is like a short, strong person. And a cheetah is like Brent, where they are long and lanky and able to run very fast, but they're not able to, they can't pull something like a leopard can pull its own weight up into a tree. And so they're much stronger. But the colors are very similar. A leopard is a bit taller. What have you got there? Ooh, white-crowned shrike. Liam spotted a very beautiful bird for us. It's called a white-crowned shrike, everybody. Isn't he lovely? You won't find him in your garden in Johannesburg, I'm afraid. Isn't that nice? And he's just standing there trying to stay warm, because although the sun's out, it's quite chilly here, You know how when the sun's out in winter in Johannesburg, it can still be quite cold, and there's a wind blowing, which makes it even colder. Hello, Grace. Nice to talk to you again this morning. You say, how do leopards climb trees? Gracie, I know you don't have a cat at home, but if you'd ever had a cat at home, you would know that they climb trees with their claws, exactly the same way that a house cat climbs a tree. They're very strong, they've got very strong arms, and their claws stick into the tree and they scramble up, and that's how they're able to climb trees, Gracie. Very clever the way they're able to do that. And then you were asking about why it is that a giraffe has a black tongue. And I think from what I heard of what Brent was saying, I think he's right. A giraffe has a black tongue because it's exposed to the sun so much. So if you were to get hold of a giraffe and you were to grab its tongue and pull it all the way out, if you pulled it all the way out, you would find that only the bits that stick out of the giraffe's mouth all the time are black. The rest, the underneath bit, is pink. And that underneath bit is not exposed to the sun, and therefore it doesn't need the melanin in the body. Because melanin, of course, makes a huge difference to protection from the sun. There's some little tiny baby carnivores in that termite mound over there. We've seen all of our carnivores on termite mounds today. These ones are very small. They're called dwarf mongoose. Look at the little dwarf mongoose. Hello, Ambrin. You want to know why it is that the mother leopard left her cubs. Remember, these are big cats, so they're called cubs, not kittens. Ambrin, you know how your mum has to go off to the shop sometimes to buy food? That's exactly what Karula, the mother's doing here. She's gone off to try and hunt, and then she'll come and fetch them, and she'll take them off to be with her. And she'll feed them, because they're not drinking milk anymore now, the little cubs. They're eating meat almost full time. Isn't that nice? These are two little dwarf mongoose. They live in a very tight-knit family in the termite mound, always. And they'll just go around and see if they can find a scorpion to eat, or maybe a lizard, or maybe an egg. Sometimes they really like to have eggs. Isn't that sweet? They're tiny, you know. They're the size of a sort of a mouse, a rat, a big rat. Tiny, tiny little things. And they love the sun. After a cold night out, a dwarf mongoose loves the sun. It's his favorite thing. I think that's so sweet. Isn't that nice? All right, let's carry on. We'll just carry on round the corner here. Just going to check. I did hear squirrels shouting. Now, squirrels occur out here, a tree squirrel it's called, and they make a big noise when they see a predator. And there was a squirrel shouting around here, and maybe the predator that it saw was the mother leopard coming back. Who knows? Let's go and have a look. So we've come around the area where we saw Charlotte. She's just up ahead. Sarah, you want to know how fast we can drive in the game reserve. Sarah, not very fast. We try and keep very slow, just because it's not a good idea to drive quickly. We might not see the animals that we want to see, and we also might frighten some of the animals, and so we drive very slowly. Normally it may be a little bit faster than this. Unless we think that there's an animal around, then we'll drive slowly like we're driving now. And we also, if you drive fast, you can't see what's walked on the road. So many of you will have been on a beach before, and you know that on the beach, dogs leave tracks, they leave footprints where they walk. Even in your garden, your dogs will do that. And so the animals out here leave their tracks on the ground. And so if we drive too fast, we don't see what's been walking on the road. And I can see, for example, here that a hyena was walking along the road. That's how we find those cubs this morning. We saw their tracks. That's how we saw them. So we really have had a very good time this morning. So you can't drive too quickly, you can't move around too much. And then a question from Oria, it sounds like. Oria, you want to know how many animals are in the Kruger. You know that's impossible to answer. And I'll tell you why it's impossible to answer. We know vaguely how many. I'm just going to stop here, because this is roundabout where we had the male and the other leopard cub this morning. Oria, remember that animals are not only just the mammals that we see here. They're elephants, they are insects, they are birds, reptiles, they are fish even. So frogs and lizards and all sorts of things, they're all animals. And because the Kruger is so very big, it's impossible to tell how many there are. We can't even tell how many mammals there are, because there's so many different kinds of bats that we can't count. There are too many. There are thousands and thousands of impala that are very difficult to accurately count. So it's almost impossible to tell how many animals there are in the Kruger National Park. We're just going to gently sneak along here and see if we can't get another view of maybe the male cub, and maybe mum is back. Just because I heard the squirrel going. If a squirrel sees a little cub or any kind of cat, well, then they make a big noise, just like the impala did. Remember we talked about the impala alarm calling? So it is the same with the squirrels out here. But they're not making any noise now. All right, let's go a little bit forward. You see, oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah, thanks for the warning. That's little Charlotte, sitting in the same place as she was when we saw her earlier. You see how beautifully hidden she is? She's just sitting on top of the termite mound. I'm just going to quickly look down here. Now, a Taino, you want to know how old they are. Remember I said they're 4 months old, so they're not very old at all. They're very tiny. And I'm just scanning in the bushes here to see if I can't spot the other one. But that's the same one that we were seeing, just from a different angle. Isn't that sweet? So sweet. Virginia, you want to know why leopards have such small ears? They don't, you know. They don't have very small ears compared with us. They've got quite big ears. Your ear, let's look at my ear. My ear is quite big, though. Your ear is probably about that big in relation to your head. That's the same size as that leopard's ear. That leopard's ear is probably the same size as yours, but his head is much smaller than yours. Her head is much smaller than yours. All right, we're going to leave them. We don't like to spend time with them when their mum isn't around. It makes them a little bit scared. So we're going to carry on and leave young Princess Charlotte there, sitting on the top of her termite mound. And maybe we'll come back this afternoon and see if their mum hasn't come back. Now, all of you, I've lost my friend the caterpillar. I don't know where he's gone. You all said that he's got 8 to 16 legs. He does not. He is an insect, remember? And how many legs does an insect have? An insect only has 6 legs. Now, what I'll do is I'll draw you a picture of exactly how many legs he's got and why, and what the other things that you are mistaking for legs are. So let's stop over here. Now, I'm a very bad drawer, everybody. I'm just warning you, I'm a very, very bad drawer. So you'll have to bear with me as I draw my caterpillar for you. Okay. Liam, can you see me here?
Yes.
I just want to quickly show you guys. Here is a hyena track. So you can see a hyena went walking along the road here. We'd never see that if we were driving very fast. Now, let's clear a bit of a space. And I will now draw you a caterpillar. But I'm a very bad drawer. Okay, here we go. Here's the caterpillar. Does that look like a caterpillar, Vim?
Or a sausage.
Or a sausage? Here's its mouth. Okay. Here's its eye. There we go. Now, on the front part of the caterpillar, it's got 6 legs here. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 on the other side. 3 and 3 makes 6. So we'll put them here. But on the back, the ones that you are mistaking for legs are actually little suckers. And they look like this. And they look like legs, but they aren't legs. And so when this caterpillar becomes a butterfly, those suckers are gone, and that you know that a butterfly's got 6 legs because it's an insect. So when you see a caterpillar next time, and you see it moving along like this, watch my finger. You see my finger here? Or shall I do it on the dash? Perfect. Remember, they move like that. The 6 legs are on the front here, and on the back you've got a whole lot of little suckers. And so they've only got 6 legs, like all insects. I hope you can all draw a caterpillar better than me. I'm sure you can. I'm the worst drawer in the world. Right, let's see what else we can find out here. That might be interesting. All right, chaps, we're going to say goodbye to you. I hope you've had a nice time, girls. Go and have a good time in the wintry Johannesburg. I hope it's sunny there and not too cold. It was lovely to talk to you. And Gracie and Mia, I hope you especially have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. All right, everybody in the internet, you're still with us. We've got a few more, well, we've got a decent amount of time left for the drive. My plan now is to go up towards the Bivels or Cut line. Just when we got to the hyena den, they all scarpered, they ran off. You saw there, if you kept watching, that female who's got the youngsters stuck her head out and was smelling the air and trying to see what was going on. And I don't know that there wasn't another predator lurking around there somewhere. Maybe Sandile, and quite possibly a lion even. I mean, those lionesses have been lurking around there for some time. So we're going to go back up in that direction and see if we can't pick something up there. I'm really sad that Brent's signal gave out at that leopard sighting, because gee whiz, to have a mvula on a warthog hill is really special. Anyway, maybe we'll take Rusty across there this afternoon and see if he doesn't have better signal. Anyway, he is off the vehicle now. I think he's tracking something else. Whatever that might be. For us, we'll just go back up towards the north of the reserve and see if we can pick up on some lion tracks. Didn't find any further tracks of Karula, so I wonder if she's not in that same block. Those older tracks that we saw heading south may have been her. I hope she doesn't kill something on Little Gari, because that will mean we don't see her for a while. Very interesting question from Newfoundland. Newfoundland, nice Twitter handle that is. You want to know, if a lion calls, will it have the danger of bringing other male coalitions into an area? The answer is yes. It could well do that. It's very easy for that to happen. But without it, I mean, if there's another male coalition within earshot, if the territorial lions don't call, well, those lions are going to come in anyway. They're going to go to wherever there's a vacuum and wherever they think they can get land most easily. So it'll have the double effect of warning male coalitions that the area is full, but at the same time, if there is a young male coalition thinking about taking over a territory, well, yes, then I guess it would attract the attentions of those males. But it's very much an advertisement. It's chest beating. It's a kind of how else can we describe it? It's an advertisement saying we're here, we're strong. Come if you like, but you'll be in big trouble. Another lovely shot there of a white-crowned shrike. Just see, and you can see the cloud moving behind them, I think. There really is quite a stiff breeze coming out of the southeast today. You see the white-crowned shrike with its feathers ruffled out. And that deep blue winter sky that we get here really is amazing. We're so lucky to have it. I think that's a young one in its first year. It doesn't look quite as big as an adult, and it's still making a slightly immature call. And we had an incredible view during the spring of last year of a little group of white-crowned shrikes in a nest. It's all quite sweet. There are 3 or 4 of them down and around here. That one standing out in the open because he wants to be warm in the sun. Very nice. On we go. Keeping an eye on the ground. And as the wind starts, of course, the elephants just disappear for some reason. Just have a look up here, Bjorn. I don't know how on earth that grey go-away bird and its mate managed to sit in that tree and not get completely caught out. It's a knobthorn tree, which means there are thorns all over the place. You wouldn't put your hand into that tree, let alone leap about like that bird is. I think that's unbelievable. You can't walk past a tree like that without being totally torn to pieces. Look at those vicious, vicious thorns. Ugh. And the bird is just hopping around in there. And you'll see monkeys even climbing in those trees. I think maybe they just take the pain better than we do. Aaron, while we're looking at a few birds, you want to know what the rarest heron species in this area is? I don't know. I suppose in this particular area it would be something like one of the night herons, a black-crowned night heron, or a white-backed night heron. They're not very common at all. So, something like a dwarf bittern would also be quite rare for this area. But the rarest in terms of numbers anywhere around here, I'm not sure. Maybe a rufous-bellied heron? I'll try and find you a picture. This might make it a bit easier for you to understand. But rufous-bellied we don't get here. Karula is lurking around here somewhere, everyone. So just keep an eye out for her. Maybe she went north. Let me find all the herons for you quickly here. There don't seem to be too much else to look at right now, so let's look at the herons that we have. A heron. You'd think that after almost 10 years with this book, I could just open it and there they'd be. There are all the herons, everyone. There's the dwarf bittern, which is uncommon. And that's him there, number 1. I think he might be one of the most rare. And there's the rufous-bellied over there. Also quite says it's very uncommon. So I would go with those 2 herons. All right, let's head across to Brent Smith, find out what he's been tracking on his large size 13 feet. Maybe he had some luck. And we'll head up back towards where we heard that alarming earlier on.
We've been in search of elephants, but they seem to have disappeared into an area we couldn't follow. So we've come back from Arathusa. We're on Juma now. And I think I'm going to go have a quick look around where we think Sindile was last night. and it is really windy at the moment, so a lot of our general game is going to be a bit skittish and a bit scarce. So let's see if we can make it leopard number 4 this morning. Now, we've just had a South African school on drive with us. Now, our commander-in-chief, chiefs, shall I say, Emily and Graham, one of their daughters was in the class watching, as well as James's niece. How fantastic is that? Hello, Carol. I hope you're enjoying this morning's sunrise safari so far. And Carol's wondering, is Mvula bigger than a lioness? He's not. Mvula probably weighs around 75 kilograms, so 160, 70 odd pounds, maybe a little bit less, maybe a bit more, I'm not sure. But a lioness can be anything up to 150 kilograms. So 200 pounds is 90 kilograms. Yeah, it's probably over 300 pounds. So substantial.
I don't know where Brent is driving. It sounds like he must be somewhere around Cape Town, given the amount of signal that he's had today. Anyway, you're stuck with me again. We're on quarantine clearings. We're just looking around the place here, checking the tops of the trees, and then we're heading north, just towards Gallagher, to see if we can't find what those hyenas were so nervous about earlier on. Let's find out. Brent seems to have found every signal black hole there is this morning, poor fellow. Definitely going to be worth taking Rusty towards where Mvula is this afternoon. Now this situation here that we see on our left-hand side, where that tree has been denuded of bark by elephants, is going to become a more and more common thing as we go towards the very dry parts of the season. And although today is the winter solstice, we know that as your summer has basically only just started, so our winter, well, we've probably got another month and a half of chilly-ish weather before the heat comes, but we've got another 4 months or so before the rains, in theory, will come. So that situation where elephants resort to eating the bark of trees like that is going to become more and more apparent as the dryness of the season continues. And we will prattle on about the dryness, no doubt, and the weather, as we always do, because it is just so, it does affect our lives so much out here. It affects our sightings, it affects the animals and how they survive. Right, let's head up to the north now. Is that something on the road, BM, or was it just a tree?
Something square.
It does look very square to be an animal, doesn't it? I think it's a bush. Right, here we go. I should just draw you a quick map, or I'll just explain it to you. As we go up here, we're going up, if you look at the dashboard here, Vim, I'll just sort of draw it as we drive. If you look at we've got the road there that we're driving up now, and off to the right-hand side, another road, that's a Gubu road. And in the middle, there is a network of 4 or so drainage lines that culminate in the one that goes into the Djuma Dam. Now, in between here, it's almost impossible to drive. And so when we are looking for things around this area, we kind of do a loop, and then, you know, if you don't find any tracks or anything, then it becomes quite difficult. But you can get in from the north. So if we do find something going in that way, then we can go and have a look. They might be lucky. They might not. Here's some impala there, and some piggies. Look at the piggies. That's a relief. Little piggies who lost a relative, perhaps, to Mvula the leopard. I don't really mind on their behalf, given that Mvula deserves to eat, I think. He's put in the hard yards, as they say. Not so bien. Impala, perpetually nervous, perpetually terrified of life. They have to be, I suppose. These warthogs are quite sweet. There's the little bits of green that are left shining in the beautiful light that's descended on us for the morning. They're very peaceful, and it's so interesting, you know, the big bull warthogs tend to be that much more nervous of us. And the sounders of their sows and little babies seem to be that much more sort of confiding, happy to be around us. So there are two adult sows here and their youngsters, and they are highly water dependent, and so I think they're heading down towards possibly the Gallagher Pan to have a bit of a drink after their breakfast. Oh, here they come. A whole line of them. Marvellous. Oh, they've turned around and gone the other way. Go on t'other way. You can hear not a lot going on bird-wise, and that's because of the wind. They tend not to call nearly as much when there's a wind. And just here in the background, one lonely chin spot batters. And one grey go-away bird saying, wah, 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 wah. On we go. See what else there is up ahead. Brent has signalled again for the next 3.5 seconds. Let's go across to him.
We're just bouncing through probably the bounciest road on Juma, but we're back. And as I said, I'm going to go have a look around where we last think Sindile was. And right at the end of the drive last night, I had those bushbuck alarm calling. So I'm just going to have a quick look down towards the dam.
Well, there we are, 3.5 seconds. That's very nice. It was 4 seconds. Well done. Rebecca, please can you try and confirm to us where Mvula was? I'm beginning to suspect he maybe not have been on the Arathusa. Wendy, I think I'm going to put a torch to when we get back. Absolute disaster. Anyway, we're actually not too far from where Brent was, and I think he's had the same idea as us. He's thinking Sindile is knocking about this area. It might not be too far from the truth. You know what? I'm going to poke our heads in here to have a look-see. Because this is the old hyena den, and there is a huge amount of hyena activity going through here. And those other hyenas scarpered so quickly today that they may have just been visiting the current den, which is, I mean, as the crow flies, only about 400 meters, a quarter of a mile from here. So let's stick our heads in here and see what's going on. I do see some fresh hyena tracks around. Might find that they've moved in James Richard, while we drive in here hoping to find a hyena, you want to know if hyenas ever have a false estrus cycle. James, I don't think that they do. No. Now, false estrus, of course, occurs in a species where infanticide is a major risk from unrelated males. And in the case of hyenas, it's just not going to happen because the females dominate the males so completely. So were a male try to, to come along and threaten any of the youngsters, he would be very quickly dispatched. I don't see any activity here. Just thought we'd stick our heads in and have a look. I think this is the most attractive hyena den. It's got very nice shade, 2 different species of tree, 3 different species of tree, and of course it has a malachite a pygmy kingfisher living inside one of the holes, but not there at the moment. No, this is definitely not active, and I can tell it's not active from the fact that there just seems to be, you can see the leaves falling gently all over the termite mound. There's no kind of very fresh activity here, so I don't think the hyenas have come back this direction. So let's keep going. I think our idea, like I say, was much the same as Brent's, to go up towards the top here and see if we can't pick up on maybe some dealer. Look at this lovely tree. And I've spoken about it quite a lot before. It's a very common tree. It's called the common spikethorn, or Gymnosporia buxifolia. And it's so lovely because it has these lichens growing on it. So there we are. You can see that bit of grey there, that's a lichen. An unbelievable symbiotic relationship between algae and a fungus. And it's an entirely separate kingdom of organism. So animals and plants we think of as being the only 2 kingdoms, and you think of a lichen being a plant. It isn't. It's an entirely separate kingdom, which I think is remarkable. Ease our way out of here. It is a little bit bumpy, so don't spill wherever you happen to be sitting. Remove your dentures. Off your heads, everybody. Round we go. Maybe we'll be lucky. I'm just going to get hold of Brent quickly. Brent, you copy? I'll open up the comms so you can hear him. Brent, what's your position?
We're still a damn wall.
Copy, what was your route there?
Went Gallagher and in front of Gallagher from Gallagher short time.
Brent, he didn't come up here.
I got as far crossing the Comedy Crossing on Central before I turned.
Okay, so he didn't come all the way up here. Okay, copy, thanks very much. And what's Mvula's position? I just want to find out where the leopard is.
In the Marikani, just to the southwest of Vasco Crossing.
Okay, so that's really good prospect for this morning, at least this afternoon. Okay, copy that. So I think we'll take a car with a decent signal and go across there this afternoon. It's a bit far for us to go to now. So he went cutting across basically where we did earlier after we'd just been at the hyena den. We're going to do a bigger loop around that way and see if something doesn't turn up there, especially on this particular little road here. All right, let's go back across to Brent for 5 seconds. I'll see you in about 5 seconds.
hopefully we last a little longer than last time. We're going to stay on quarantine. It's a little bit safe here from a signal point of view, but don't worry. Our tech geniuses will be on it as soon as the drive is over. Now, isn't it amazing? We started off with an almost complete cloud bank over our heads, and now we've got beautiful sunshine. Although it is still very windy and cold, I'm starting to regret taking my jacket off. I just want to have a quick squiz around quarantine. It's always possible Sandile moved through here. He has been liking this area up here. Hi, Justin. Justin would like to know, what is one thing, either good or bad, out in the bush that I'll never forget? Justin, now I've got to think. I think there's so much good and it's so little bad. Let me think now. I think one good thing that you'll never forget out here in the bush is often the people you meet out here. And we're quite lucky in the fact that we work with an amazing team. I've been many years in the bush and worked with many teams, and never a team quite like this. We're the most different bunch of human beings who manage to get on very well, which is quite strange. I mean, I've worked in a lot of lodge environments where you have your little clique, and those are the people you hang with. Yeah, everyone just hangs out with everyone, and it's quite a special thing about Safari Live, and that's why we have so much fun doing what we do. Hey, Justin, you're probably referring a bit more to animal sightings. There's so many. I mean, can you believe on Saturday we had that incredible sighting of Shadow and Sandile reunited, possibly for the first time, we don't know. And as well as seeing Shadow's cub for the first time, that was incredible for me. I was really sort of 70-80% sure that cub was dead, and then there it was. It was a very special and beautiful moment. And one thing bad out in the bush, James Hendry's cooking. James Hendry should not cook. Occasionally we have to cook for ourselves, not too often. And what we used to do in the early days is that whoever was not driving that afternoon would deal with the cooking. And James is a very talented man, but unfortunately not in the culinary department. I haven't seen any tracks yet. Let's just have a quick look. He might have caught something in that little drainage system that we can't get a vehicle into. Maybe he's fat and happy. And that's what we would hope, because that would stop him wandering around. And as we know, Karula's cubs are on Djuma at the moment. I'm quite happy Mvula is on Arathusa. And that'll be better place for him while Karula's cubs are here. Hello, Christine. And yes, on Sunday, Steph did something that's never been done on Safari Live before. He drank the juice out of elephant dung. Dave goes, whoa. And Christine is wondering, where's the bushwalk? Did Steph not survive his elephant cocktail? He survived. And he will be, I think there will be bushwalk on the Sunset Safari today. There are only 3 of us on site at the moment. Jamie is on leave. So we will be putting out 3 feeds probably on the Sunset Safari. Hopefully we can get Wendy sorted out as well, so she can travel a bit further than we have. But it was a really exciting weekend. And the animals definitely played their part, made it easy for us. So no sign of young Sindile in this area, so I think he's possibly still further to the north. Unfortunately, we seem to have gremlins living in that area, so that's why we had to leave. But hopefully all sorted, and I'll definitely go have a sniff around there on the sunset safari. So I'm just listening to the game drive radio there for a second. Apparently a male lion has snuck onto Juma, but no one can find it at the moment. Hi, Shamson. So we had a flat tyre to start off our morning, and Shamson's wondering how often do we get stuck in the bush and we need a tow. Fortunately, not too often. I have only been towed since I've been here twice. Oh, there's some tracks there. I think it's hyena, but I'm just going to double check. Yes, it is hyena. It's so wonderful the den is back on Juma. Very, very excited about that. Lovely to have all the Howards around. So we managed to survive more than 5 seconds this time, and it has been wonderful. Mvula, Karula's cubs, hyenas, ellies. What a fantastic sunrise safari, and always great to have my good friend James out in the other vehicle. So, well, we're going to say goodbye from Dangerous Dave and myself, and we'll see you in a few short hours for the sunset safari. But in the meantime, let's go see what James has got to say for the last few moments of drive.
I'm just looking in the shade underneath those tambuti trees there, but there's nothing there. I thought I saw maybe the tawny shape of a lioness sleeping in the shade, but I don't think I did. At least my my seeing of things, i.e. my hallucinations, gave us some kind of a profit this morning. That little leopard I saw dangling from the tree this morning almost didn't check. Saw the dangling shape and thought, it's probably the same as that termite mound I thought was a female leopard. Anyway, we're now on the Mvubu Road, and the hyena den is just down here. And I'm just going to drive carefully down this road and see if there aren't any tracks of something coming out. Just for the last 5 minutes or so that we have with you. Hello, Sandy. You're worried about guests visiting or tourists visiting this area and the dangers provided by camping. Well, I'm not much of a camper myself, but you're a fine camper. Have you ever heard of a tourist being torn out of a tent in the Kruger and devoured by wild animals?
Not in Kruger, but
No.
I heard about a hyena
Right. So it does happen. It only happens, Sandy, when people leave the doors to their tents open. It's almost entirely safe to sleep in a tent on the ground in a wildlife area if you keep the door shut. And it's often because people get so hot in the summer in those tents. You know how hot a tent gets. They open the doors at night, or they open the flaps at night, and if you're lying down and a hyena or a lion comes across you fast asleep and you're lying down, you'll be in big trouble. It's perfectly safe to do it. Absolutely safe to come camping out here. We don't have a great loss of tourists, especially in South Africa, mainly because South Africa is a bit more regulated, I think. But into Namibia and Botswana and Zimbabwe and Zambia, where you can do, places are so remote you can do what you like. You still hardly ever hear stories of people getting hurt by wild animals. So Sandy, should you wish to come camping in this area, you'd be absolutely fine, I'm sure. There's an impala. We'll close on him today, I think. Hello, Mr. Impala, as the wind starts to blow through here. It has been a very blustery day, but we've seen some pretty good stuff. Male leopard cub, couple of elephants, hyenas, and the prospect of something greater this afternoon. We're going to go home now, I think, and have some warming coffee and sit in the sun for a while. Thank you, VM, for your efforts. Very nice. Big thank you to Brent, of course. He's driving with Davey this morning. We'll see you this afternoon. Very tongue-tied today at 3:30. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Big thanks to the Final Control. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.